All right, so this is music in Power Rangers. Thank you so much. Obviously, we'll go down the line. We'll introduce who you are, what you worked on.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Malik Youssef. I wrote and produced Power with Kanye for the movie in the middle where the Rise of the Megazord. So it's like, I hope people were surprised to have us in there, and I hope that moment felt really good to you. It's just that piece of motivation sometimes you need sonically, and I likened it to the moment in Rocky where they play "Eye of the Tiger," and when it's just, you heard that, hey yo, hey yo, hey. So I just hope everybody loved that. Thank you.
My name's Ron Kanan.
And I'm Ron Wasserman. We keep getting confused.
Ron Wasserman, the original composer for Power Rangers, and I think the first 3-4 years or so. And it looks like everybody's over 21 here, so we can cuss today, can we? There's usually
I ain't
some
stopping
little
you.
kids, so I have to watch it. So.
Let me crank up.
Are we low?
Is this better? Yeah, this one works.
He just cranked us up.
That was
Nice.
just a prop
Juice.
mic. Yeah, thank you. Well, you guys heard what I said. So everybody's over 21, so we don't have to watch our language. I am a rocker at heart, even though, All right, your turn, Wasserman.
I'm Ron Keenan. Can you hear me? Yes. It's my first Power Morphicon, my coming out party. So I was president of music at Saban for 20 years. So basically, anything that Saban did for 20 years since '87 through 2007, I kind of oversaw the music. Did a little bit of writing, did a little bit of co-writing with Wasserman here on Go-Go.
And a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah, thank you. And, I played all the guitars on Rock Adventure. And I wrote the X-Men theme. I wrote Spider-Man Unlimited. And had a blast for 20 years.
Amazing.
So I'm going to keep it short because I'll have one or two because I know a bunch of you want to ask some questions, and we'll definitely get to that. One thing that I know about the music of the franchise and television in general is if you're a musician and you're a creative, you have all these ideas and you can just kind of put it out there however you want. But when you work from television, you obviously have to tie it to a pre-existing idea that someone else may have. So I just wanted to know how it feels to compose for television versus composing something that you may use for another outlet.
Well, usually you get a bunch of notes and directions on what they want and a sound and reference now from YouTube videos. And let's say we'd like it to sound like this. We want it to, and then for me, I do something slightly different. And that works because if you get too close to it. So television's actually a lot of fun. Songwriting, you're just wide open. You can do whatever you want at any time and for whatever mood that you're in. So songwriting's a lot easier than scoring stuff. And films are much harder than television.
Oh wow, yeah.
And video games are harder than film.
I'll dovetail that. When I'm assigned to write for an artist, it's easy because like I kind of know Adam Levine, I know Post Malone. I've been with them before. I can kind of gauge their spirit and the energy that they have at that time, because it's gonna be different from project to project. Like any of us, we change. But and I'll just I'll amen Ross said, because it's like movies, you'll have an idea and then you'll send it back. They'll be like, what is this? And they'll be for real. They'll really be like, what is this? You're like, well, this is what you said. You said this. They're like, no, but we want you to put this spin on it. So television, I'm doing Grey's Anatomy right now, and it's so much fun. It's like, oh, y'all know Grey's Anatomy? Yeah. I'm doing Grey's Anatomy right now, and it's so much fun because it's just easy. And it's like working for artists is pretty easy because they kind of want you. But film, they want this idea that they have in their brain. They want you to kind of mind read them. And it's not an easy task.
It is if you get them drunk. Then you
So
get the real
that's the key.
truth out of
You
it.
should have been told me this years ago, man.
3 shots of
I wouldn't have
tequila,
these
they're like,
great beards.
what we really want.
I'll just add a perspective on how things were at Saban, because Saban was always very different than your typical production company. Haim Saban and Shuki Levy, his partner at the time, they were composers. So it started out as a music company, and changed into a production company. So music always had huge autonomy, and we produced everything. And so whereas ordinarily, you're kind of beholden to the producer, director, they tell you what to do. At Saban, it's like we did what we wanted, right?
True.
And it was
I never even met any of the directors. Met the actors once. Never saw the set. No, I saw the set once. That was it.
Yeah.
We just
So we had an easy time. We had fun. Now, from time to time, on a super high profile project, the network executive might exert some influence. Like, for example, Sidney Iwanter at Fox on X-Men.
Oh yeah.
He was So I wanted to do rock music because prior to the early '90s, there was no rock music in any of the cartoons, any kids. And I'm a metal guitar player, and I was like, okay, I need to pollute the minds of the kids out there. So X-Men came around. I don't know if you remember this, but so I wanted to do rock songs for X-Men. So we did a bunch of X-Men rock songs. You did a bunch. As a matter of fact,
Did I? I mean, I really don't remember.
As a matter of fact,
The hours were a little strenuous.
this will freak you out actually if you don't remember, but Go-Go Power Rangers was an X-Men fight song demo.
Oh wow.
Spilling
Sure
the
about
tea.
that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, X-Men. I can't remember which
No,
number it was.
but I remember you coming in and saying they need a theme by tomorrow, something to play for Fox, or doing the presentation. And I remember calling you once and saying, "Is it Morphin or Morphine?"
Oh wow.
No.
He was
No,
different.
that was
He was
that-
different.
That was like, so the way it went down is we did these rock songs for X-Men, and then Sidney Iwanter sort of nixed the idea of doing rock song.
Yeah,
But
that I did.
remember the closing theme for X-Men, the first season? You guys remember the what was it? You wrote that. Who's got the claws made out of adamantium? I think that was just it was like, since they didn't want to do rock songs, I'm like,
I'm going to
screw
go
it.
sit there and ask questions. I do not remember this. No, it's fine.
And it was like, and I'm like, screw it. If they're not gonna let us do the rock songs, I'll sneak one into the closing credit. So that's how that song ended up. Like this one orphan rock song in X-Men. And then by the second season, they pulled it and they used the opening theme.
Yeah.
But the Go-Go Power Rangers, the track is an X-Men song. And like we always do,
I didn't even do hardcore drugs. I don't. Why is this gone?
it's been 30 years, our age.
It's all that Diet
Um,
Pepsi I was gargling.
So I remember, like when we would have a new show, I'd always be looking for what unused themes. There was all the unused theme demos, cassettes, right?
Smart.
And I looked through that, and we had all these rock songs that you did for X-Men that were like not used, right? And there was the track, and it was just the instrumental track. There was like no melody on it. And I picked that, and I picked like two others, and I went to Haim's, I can't remember if it was his home or his office, and I played it to him, and he's like, this one, Power Rangers.
I
And he's like-
that one.
And he's like, do something like Go 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 Power Rangers, because the Go Go was his shtick, because
What was
he
the word
did
"go" from Go Gadget Go?
Inspector Gadget.
That I
right?
remember.
Yeah. And then I get on the phone with you. You're at the studio, and I'm like, okay, so we're gonna go with that one, and you were like all ready to go. And I'm like, do like Go Go Power Ranger. I don't know why that melody even came up. I don't know if like the
Classic.
chords begged for it, or and Go Go Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then I drove to the studio, and it was done. You did it. That's how Power Rangers theme came about. It's crazy.
That's awesome. One thing I want to point out is I can't speak for everyone here, but I think one of the reasons why the music stands out from the show so much is primarily when it came out. We're talking 1993, especially if you're going so heavy in the rock music. I don't know how many of you were around in 93. Grunge was huge at that point. So you had a lot more of the power metal influence stuff. Your pentatonics and stuff that wasn't just so sludgy all the time. So I think that was a good outlet, and a lot of ways people were introduced to that style of music.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It was, and the only reason it went through so fast is because Fox heard it the next day and it was approved. So it was a done deal.
Right.
Unless I'm wrong about that.
I don't remember that. It's a monster track. I mean, it's like, how can you say no to that?
All right.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
No, by all means, go ahead. They're not here for me. They're here for you.
I'm a super fan, obviously. I remember just growing up, being a teenager, and this Power Rangers. I had already known about it from like in Japan, what they were doing. Then when they came to America, I distinctly remember people trying to, and you guys may remember this, people trying to marginalize. Like we were like, we still like counterculturalists in the Power Ranger fandom, because it's like super cool to be a Marvel fan right now. And I worked with Marvel a lot. I had an actual book at Marvel, but that's acceptable. But it's something different when you wear anything Power Rangers. It's like, oh, you're one of those people. And at this 30th year anniversary, and I'm working on music, by the way, and I would love you guys to come in and get with me, and I'm working with Elton John on some stuff. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Elton John? Yes. Yeah. I did All the Lights with Elton John. A song we did 10 years ago or whatever, something like that, with Elton John. Sorry, Elton John, excuse me. But I want to ask this question, and just feel free to shoot me down. Working on X-Men, of course, where everybody's like, oh, Marvel, because it's acceptable, and then taking that to Power Rangers, was there any blowback from Marvel or Fox at the time? Was there any blowback for that? Did they even know that was written for them?
The X-Men thing?
Yes, X-Men thing.
If I recall, Sidney Iwanter didn't like it, but everybody else did and vetoed him, right? Yeah.
That I remember. Sydney didn't like anything.
All right. I think we're going to start taking a couple questions from some people. Thank you guys for your patience. Who did we have up here first? Right here? Yeah, come on up. What's your name?
Keith.
Keith, everybody.
Hey. Got it. All right, this one's for Ron. So I know you're a big Black Sabbath fan. If you could do, or Ron Wasserman. I'd asked you so many questions when we had our interview together, and there was one question I just thought of. If you could pick, I know you're a big Black Sabbath fan. If you could pick one Black Sabbath song
War
for,
Pigs.
That's honestly, that's what I expected. That or NIB.
Me too, actually.
It's funny because I have a cover band and we play War Pigs.
That's a tough song to cover.
Yeah, that would be a good alternate theme for Power Rangers. I think that'd be pretty cool. Especially because there is a pig in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The riffs in that are different.
Oh, we got here. What's your name?
Anthony.
We should try to answer the questions first, like Carson used to do. Yellow.
So first of all, I just want to say I think I speak on behalf of everyone here. Thank you for making the soundtrack of our childhood the stuff of legends. Like, holy shit. I mean, I sometimes still work out to your music and everything. It really has changed my life for the better. So my question is, so over the years, music has been around for centuries and everything. And, there's always drawing inspiration from this person to that person to this and that, stuff like that. Like, who would you say are some of your biggest inspirations behind your work that you like to make it like them, but you still make it your own?
Oh, that's tough. Well, on the song side, it runs the gamut. It's been everything from Gershwin to, Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd, to certain pop songs from other artists. On scores, I've listened to so many film scores. They're all a great influence. I mean, nobody touches anything a person like John Williams, but there's others that, they all have their individual signature and flavor. So I've just listened to so much. I mean, even driving down, I'll be listening. I was listening to Metallica. I was discussing this before. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and then next was like cello.
Anyone
Solo
hear
cello,
him mention
Yo-Yo Ma.
any bad names so far? Like, that's all excellent music.
Yeah. I just grew up listening to everything, so you guys can chime in. I've been all over the map.
Well, I'm as a rock guitar player, and as old as I am, I sort of grew up with 70s music. So for me, it's Zeppelin and Sabbath and Judas Priest. So that was my language of music in the early '90s. Leading up to these shows.
And yet we were in a new wave band.
Oh yeah, we were in a band together.
Yeah.
I want to say being on the score for and on the soundtrack, being on the score for the movie on soundtrack. I'm from Chicago, and I grew up listening to country music on a station called US 99. And I still work with a lot of country artists. Obviously Billy Ray Cyrus, and I bring country to everybody I work with. Adam Levine, I bring country to him. I bring country to Beyonce, because that's my major discipline. I write everything in country first, right? In this country parlance first. And as you know, the kinship between rock and roll and country is just, it's a thin line between the two. It's sped up country, really. It's really what it is, which is why people love it so much. But I'll say this, like you said, they made the soundtrack to our childhood, and it's really true. But the scariest thing about that for me was when I was listening to the score for the movie, I was intimidated, because I was like, this is not exactly what we grew up with. And, I really had to have other musician friends say it's okay. Because I really had anxiety, I'm a nerd, so I had a lot of anxiety around it. And I just thank you for your question and statement. And thank you for letting us know what your musical palette is, because I mean, everything was rock and roll. MTV hit in like '84, and everything was rock and roll. And that's how I got turned on to rock and roll. But before that, when I was a little kid, it was all country. So thank you guys.
That's why you had so much anxiety. Because they always lose their truck, their woman, their dog, their keys.
I'm out of liquor. I'm out all that.
We got a question from Matt next.
Hello, Matt.
Thank you. My question is. Ooh, sorry. Yep. Okay. Sorry. My question is for the whole panel. What is your favorite piece of music or song that you've worked on, be it Power Rangers or otherwise?
I had my previous wife and I had a band called Fisher, and there's a song called "I Will Love You," and that's probably one of my favorite tracks that I've ever written. Is a slow, emotional thing.
Well, I guess in context with what we're here for, I guess X-Men theme for me is probably the one that I'm most proud of.
You should tell them the baseline story.
Okay, so I was in a band and I wrote the song. And
The band was called Aesthetica.
and they had the bass line of X-Men, but in major, because the X-Men theme is a minor. And this song was kind of happy version of it. And so when we were working on X-Men, I was like, this is because it had such a good groove to it, but it can't be happy. So I just changed it up, and that's what led to the X-Men theme, and then everything that got built on top of it.
It originated as a bass line for a song called Piranha Canoe.
Right. So you remember.
Yeah, remember that. It's
I've written some iconic songs and been on like a lot of radio, and I wanted to say Hurricane with The Weeknd, but no, it's really a more obscure song on the same album on Donda that came out about a year ago, called Moon, with me and Don Tolliver, and it's just like, I wanna go to the moon, don't leave too soon, and we made that at like 3:30 in the morning. I remember in room 613 in San Francisco. He was leaving to go on a flight. I said, let's try one more time to knock something out. And then Cuddy added himself to that song. So right now, of my career, that's my favorite song. It's not my most successful. I've won Grammys for other stuff, but that's the one I love the most. It just makes me feel like a kid. Just makes me feel like wonderment. Just like outer space is still something far away from us. It just makes me feel like a kid.
That was a great album. Oh,
It's really good. Next up, we have a question from Avery.
Hello.
So to your question, with the differences between Marvel and Power Rangers, at some point Stan Lee was interested in Power Rangers, and at some point, so in the beginning, Chaim, I say his name correct, I think.
close enough.
Chaim, but in the beginning, to answer your question, it was very, when she greenlit it, she did it on her, like she put her job on the line, and there was so much at risk for her. The fact that she did that, like, Chaim kind of ditched her at some point, and so they're now separated as people. But she's a founder of like what this is. But when you watch any documentary, she will. When you watch a documentary, she will say, at some point we had to make a split, and he took a different partner. But she's the one who risked her job to make this all come true.
Are you talking about Margaret Lush?
Yeah. And for me personally, someone who's for me as a person who's been through domestic violence and domestic everything, like Power Rangers, the music, I come from a very musical family, and my mom, she's a music teacher and she teaches kids. She teaches them morals and values. Well, unfortunately, on the parent side, they were lacking a little bit. So when I watched Power Rangers, I got to learn those morals and values, but it was in a cheesy context. So even now as a 24, I can still learn those, and it's my safe place. It's not so serious like a Marvel film where I have to think about it, and I'm like, it's where I can find my happy place. Yes. And I heard Queen Bee come out of your mouth. I want you to know that your impact means a lot to me. And you as a human means a lot to me. And I can see why you made Grammys, and I can see why you guys are involved, because we're all here for a reason. And it's because of you that I'm here, because you guys saved my life more than I can ever tell you. Thank you. And
Just really shows the power that music can have on people, honestly. It really is universal.
And that's why we do what we do.
I got Nick coming up here next.
Hi, my question's for Wasserman. When you came back to the franchise to do your Redux album, where you went back to old songs and redid them, were there any restrictions to like certain songs you couldn't do? Because I know for some reason there's nothing from the In Space season on the album.
Anything that you cover, because without getting into the long story, anything you cover has to be released on an audio-only product. So everything that was done was on a CD or cassette tape or whatever. If it wasn't, it's, you really can't do it. You can't do it. And that just started as an experiment. I just wanted to see if I could still sing that high again. And I went like, oh, I've got that. Well, I might as well do this, and I might as well do that, and I might as well do this. So it's been fun.
Well, if you had the chance to go back to any of your In Space music and got to redo it, were there any tracks that you would have liked to have redone?
I can't think of any. The tracks that I did were really my favorites, and there was a couple more I could have done, but I didn't want to. There was enough. It was a perfect balance.
It was dope, though.
I think now I got Mike coming up here next.
Sonically, it was great.
First of all, can I just say, I think I want to reiterate what a lot of people have been saying. You guys are the reason our childhood was even as awesome as it was. So
Thank you. Thanks.
So with that being said, and this is for everyone, you guys can choose. If you guys had the choice to choose one artist or even two to help cover the Go-Go Power Rangers theme song, who would you choose?
Metallica.
It's can we? I mean, is this fantasy stuff? Because I would love to just hear Kurt Cobain's take on it. Just love to hear. I just love that dude, you know, and I just want to hear what his textures would be. So if we're just fantasizing, yeah, that.
It would be very depressing if he did it. That's for sure, right?
Maybe not though.
No. I'm a huge Nirvana fan. I'm just, it was just that.
Well, I would. It's impossible at this point, but Van Halen would have been great because Eddie might be the only person who could pull off that front riff.
Yeah, that riff.
Which I assume everybody knows that was not real guitar. That was Ron on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Fooled Eddie.
Fooled me right now.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of stuff with those instrument packs.
I was this many days old when I found that out.
Blowing his mind over here.
That was since.
All right, so I'll tell a quick story, which a lot of you know. So it's the band with Fisher, and then Eddie Van Halen's wife, Valerie Bertinelli, licenses one of our tracks for one of her films and invites us up to their compound to hang out and watch TV. So we're watching it with her, and then I hear, psst, psst. I turn around, it's Eddie Van Halen. He goes, come on. We end up going in the kitchen. He pulls this baggie out. It says, not for soup, and there's a bone in it. He goes, do you know what this is? I said, no. He goes, it's my hip. Yeah, I know he had his hip replaced because he was doing all this stuff on stage. So later on, he pulled out a guitar, and he said, show me how you played this riff. And I went over to his grand piano.
Whoa!
And then, as I was telling someone earlier, then we ended up in the studio on property 5150, and he was drumming, and I was playing piano and almost peeing on myself.
Yes.
And he was a great drummer, and a great bass player, and a great singer, and all right with guitar,
You guys guitar?
He dabbles.
I'm like, why
Dabbles
didn't
a
you
little
do
bit.
this on the keyboard, Eddie?
He's a hobbyist.
Right. He's a
This is Daniel. He has a question.
So I just wanted to thank you, Ron, because of your song "I Will Win." I got through a very difficult time in my life.
Oh, I couldn't hear you at the end.
Because of your song "I Will Win," it got me through a very difficult time in my life.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. I'm glad it did. Glad. That's why it happens. Thank you.
Got Michael coming up here next.
Hello, Michael.
I did like your work. You did My Mother Queen and My Mother theme song. What it means to you.
What are the the greatest honor, I'm sure you'll agree, is that we went from this kind of generic children's TV thing that was safe to really rocking as hard as we could till we got in trouble now and then. But that's the best part. It changed, and thousands of people picked up guitars, not knowing I did it on keyboard, but thousands of people picked up guitars and it's had a big influence in a very positive way. And that's the greatest gift I get. Because to me, it just pops out of my head. It's just my day job. But that it's influenced people or caused people or helped people, what an honor. So that's what I like best about it. Yeah, great question.
Next up, we got Peter. Yeah, we got when you stand right in front of the speaker, that happens.
First, I'd like to say I got a confession. I was listening to music as I was racing here to get to the con on time, Reisman. And two questions. First, quick. Is there any plans for both the original scores for X-Men and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to ever have its own physical release as just the score alone? It's very, very awesome.
To the best of my knowledge, that score is long gone for both shows, all those tapes. So maybe you know more.
You know the scene, the final scene, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they wheel the crate of the Ark in this giant warehouse. All those tapes are right next to it.
And then
And Disney owns that. It's probably in Disney Vault,
wait,
huh?
did they sell? And then the other question is, what was the well? You probably get this other cons. What was the idea of having Timmy P's real brand mayonnaise have a jingle out of any other? Did that come up in your head, or did somebody just?
Yeah, I didn't really hear. Sorry, we're deaf. But it's rock,
Okay.
because of Charlie's symbols.
He's asking about Timmy P's has his own theme.
Did you hear the question or no?
Oh, gotcha.
No. Oh, the question was, how was it your idea, or just somebody brought up was it just a jingle that popped in your head for some reason the Timmy P's real brand mayonnaise?
Well, Saban was big on character themes, so those things were just created on the spot. You just look at them, and for me, the favorite little theme is Bulk and Skull. Using that little muted trumpet for little guy, and then that big tuba for the
Brilliant.
low end.
But you know what my favorite theme of yours, character theme? Lord Zed.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lord Zed.
I got Luis up here next.
Okay, two questions as well. First, I wanted to ask Wasserman. There's been some people online, like Linkara, who does the history of Power Rangers retrospective. He kind of pointed out that each season theme song has, if you watch them side by side, listen to them, sorry, side by side, you can notice that there's some kind of an evolution theme going on. Like the original Mighty Morphin team introduces the characters and their powers. Sorry, the Zeo team shows the next step, the next evolution of their journey as heroes. The Turbo team introduces, well, the car teams. And then you get to In Space, and it's kind of like the finale. With the verse itself goes flying higher than ever before. Was it an intentional to do it like that, or just happened by chance? That's the first question.
It's really more of oh shit, we need another theme, and we need to try and outdo the last one. So this one, they're flying high. Now they're flying even higher. Now they're super powers.
Basically, we're giving you a lot of credit.
30 years later, it's got to be like super mega high strong wind. You
Okay.
I would have run out of words sooner.
Yeah. And the second question is following on that line of who you would have wanted to do the cover for Power Ranger teams. We go on the funny direction. The most unlikely person you guys would choose to cover a Power Rangers team.
Celine Dion. And she'd have to do a video so she could do this. Go! I hope you're not working with her this week, and don't tell her I said that.
I would like Fatboy Slim as just to see. I mean, Fatboy Slim is very campy. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they really are great musicians. But I think that would be interesting just to see I'm a nerd, so and they're nerds, so I want to see like a real live nerd like cover this space.
He's sitting right here. The real live nerd. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
All right.
That was good. Thank you, man.
Oh, wait. We haven't heard from Kanan.
Wait, we got one more in there.
Adele.
Adele.
Go.
We got two more people, and we have Nicholas.
Hello, I'm Nicholas. This is for Ron and Ron. Everybody keeps talking about covers here, but I have a question request. Would you guys please perform Power Rangers Redux live in concert?
What was the question? Sorry.
Would you perform Power Rangers
Start a
Redux?
band and do them live.
I was going to call you actually before this and say we should bring up our instruments and like do this live. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
And could you guys do Power?
Could we what?
Do my song Power? Could you redo that rock style?
Yeah, we do it rock style.
Yes.
Absolutely. You got to do
Witnesses.
the triplets.
Cool. So Power Ranger Redux Live next Power Morphicon. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Power samples King Diamond anyway, so it's like almost rock as it
I'm
is.
sure it'll be very interesting sounding. Maybe we can get Adele and Celine to back us.
We took some rock and put it through filter, so I mean, if you guys just brought that out, that would be fucking crazy.
And we got Sam. Sam. All right.
First of all, thank you guys for coming. Like everybody else here, big influence in my life. You got me into music. I've been a musician my whole life. I built my dream basement recently, which is as horrifying as it sounds. It's a band room and it's also a Power Rangers room, but it's awesome. Anyway, my question to you is, somebody you guys been doing this for 30, 40 years. Early 90s, everything, every cartoon you listen to, everything you guys had, very iconic. You hear nowadays, at least as a consumer, you see all these theme songs and mostly instrumental. Nothing really feels iconic, sees iconic. From a songwriter perspective, somebody doing it now compared to then, is there any, how does it compare as far as being a songwriter for
Well,
shows?
we've gone
movies?
from the 1 minute theme and a song and something, as they would always say, they want to hear it from the other room and know that the show's on within the first few seconds, to now let's get down to 30 seconds, then 15 seconds. And now I've done themes that are like, we want something catchy. How long do I have? 5, 6 seconds max.
Like the Breaking Bad theme, I always think about that.
Yeah, no, so they get shorter and shorter, and the reason they do it, now themes are disappearing, is they'll just show that title card as they come out of the cold open. It'll echo over it, and then you get right to it, because everybody skips it now. It's how the world is, and nobody watches end credits, so, I mean, it's just, that's the way it is.
It's too bad, but at least you guys' music will always be around, so.
Yeah.
Always have that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we got another one coming up. We got a couple minutes still.
Hey guys. What up? So as musicians, right? When I listen to a song for the first time, I listen to the lyrics, then the music shows up, and I feel like someone's either gonna hear the music first or they're gonna listen to the lyrics first. So, what is your favorite song that's ever been written? Like lyrically, like you're just like it's perfect for you. Either you wrote it, it could be somebody else's, whatever.
Say Something, but not the version with, what's her name that did the harmonies? What's the band called?
A Great Big World, Christina Aguilera.
Great Big World,
Yeah.
right? So his, yeah. But I like it with, I mean, I love her harmonies on it, but she threw them on after the mix. His version alone is a little bit more intimate for me. But I think that's a beautiful, terribly sad, but I think that's a perfectly written song.
I don't really listen to lyrics.
Wow. For me, and it's another sad song. I think that what makes me feel the most is every time I hear it, it comes on. It's just written so well. It's George Michael's, and when he just says, "And teacher," it's just like fuck.
Gorgeous vocal.
I mean, just ridiculous. It's unearthly, man. That dude was special. We were blessed to have him, and we didn't appreciate him. We did not appreciate George Michael because he got kind of lumped in with the MTV generation, like the fast consumption era. Had he been born 10 years prior or 10 years later, he'd be ranked right there with Michael Jackson, but we didn't respect him. And that man he was ridiculous. And just, there are things I still have to learn. That's everybody. And not just, so for me, that one.
We have Baron here with a question.
From Baron Abramovich, who was the chief engineer at Saban for decades.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to tell a quick story. Back in the old days, we had what was called a Harrison console. And this was really
Statute
old.
of limitations. You can't come after me for this.
Yeah, and it was very crackly, and we were always hitting it. And we had what was called the rubber mallet, and we called it the goddess of maintenance, because we would just be going like this. And I want to thank Wasserman for spilling his Coke in that, because then we got rid of that console, and we were the first ones to purchase what's called a euphonics console. And I went to this convention with somebody trying to sell us another Harrison console. And I went there and I'm looking around and I found this console and it was like, oh my God, this console remembers everything. And it was like the first one of its kind. It's used everywhere in all broadcasts and everything else. It's like the best console in the world. That's it. Thanks, guys.
I thought it was Clive that had the Coke in the console.
Nah.
But that was an anecdote, throwing that in. That was
It had
awesome.
to- it had to go.
I'm pretty much done there. One thing I do want to mention real quick. Ron knows this story because I've talked to Ron in the past couple years. If you can find it, I DJ and there's a service called Promo Only, and they have discs out there where you get like 18 to 20 pop songs every single month. There is one of them from early to mid 2000. Fisher is on it, where it was actually released to pop radio.
Oh, right.
That song you were talking about before. I remember I took a snapshot of it and I was like, have you seen this? And you're like, I did not release that to them at all.
Yeah, right. That's all
Yeah, so I mean, even like that's the thing about music. You never know where it's going to go either. That's the thing about a song. You can easily put it somewhere else. Look at soundtracks. Soundtracks take songs from the past and they repurpose them entirely. So that's rad.
And it's cool when somebody also takes stuff that you've done and they put it on their album and then they remix it and give themselves a share of the writer's credit for it.
Right, of course.
Because they put a drum beat under it or something. Kind of funny.
Yeah, that happens once in a while. Yeah. But I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up for us here for the music panel. Did you guys have a good time? And keep it going for our guests one more time.
Thank y'all for coming. Appreciate y'all. Go, go, Power Rangers!
Maybe you should cover it. That's pretty good.
Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of Power Morphicon 2022. And we'll see you guys around. Take care.
Have fun.